Welcome back to another episode of Picking Up the Pixels RPG Love. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Musum.
Hello.
Let's just get right into it. Let's dive right into the good stuff. Musum, what have you been playing this past month?
All I've been playing is Avowed.
Okay.
Um, that is, and I still haven't beaten it either. I
Oh,
probably should
okay.
have looked at my hour count before here. But I'm guessing like I'm like 40 or 50 hours in or something like that. But they have, and I'm in the fourth area of the game, which is the Solace Keep area. Um, I think this is the last area. If
Okay.
there's a fifth one, I don't think it's a full area, but I haven't really looked into it at all.
Mm.
Like you get, I can't remember if I talked about this last time, but I was in the second area, and if you progress, I think it's related to the story quest. If you progress the story quest too far without just finding this one faction and just attacking and murdering them, they burn down a town.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Okay.
and they burned down a town in my game. So,
Hmm.
um, you know what, religious zealots in this game, just, you know, I get the feeling the game just wants you to murder them anytime you see
Right.
them if the option's there. So,
Makes sense.
just for anyone else playing, just do it.
Yeah, just take him out.
um, but I still really like this game quite a bit. The like I've kind of just gone all over the place, like in terms of skills. One of the really cool aspects I enjoy is you can learn the spells on them on their own and in the grimoire, but if you have learned the spell on its own, then it levels up the spell when you use the grimoire.
Oh,
So
interesting. Okay, that's cool.
like yeah, so like the fireball gets a bigger radius. There's a it's I'm gonna call it chain lightning. It's not chain lightning, but it's a lightning thing you shoot and then it bounces around enemies.
Okay.
You get more bounces if you have a point in it in the grimoire. Just lots of cool little things like that. Like they have a spell where you it hits a radius and has a ball that kind of sucks people up, and it'll get more people if you have it leveled up. But it
That's cool.
that spell I like, but it annoys me because it has kind of a pretty small radius. And
Mm.
when you're playing like I am, where you kind of have a melee weapon and you're bouncing off enemies while trying to count spells, it's uh, like they did make the cast the spell thing easy, but it's also trying to aim where your radius is hitting can be a little
Right.
tough in a frantic situation.
Right.
Um, the you only get four companions in this game, and they're all pretty great
Mm.
in terms of personality. In terms of like play balance, like I don't use a shield or anything in this game, so I always have to have the tank in the party.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and it's I really want to see the other characters interact, so I've like experimented with having them a time or two, and I went ahead and got the summon bear skill because the bear can act like um a tank, uh
And can you only have
which
one party member with you at a time when you're out exploring?
you get to.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's just like I'm not gonna remember any of their names, but like you know they'll have conversations with each other while you're walking around, so you
Mm.
want like the full amount of them, and the other three are all distance fighters. You have two mages and a ranger, basically
Mm-hmm.
a bow guy. And I just wish there was the side characters were a little bit more diverse on that aspect. Like
Yeah.
you you can kind of use one of the mages as a tank, and that she is kind of a shield spell that you can, when you level it up, it gets like it'll reflect damage, I think, or something like that. But there's nothing to attract enemies to her, like there is
Gotcha.
the other guy.
And if they're all
Um,
talking to each other, you kind of want eventually like
yeah,
every combination of them to go out with you and
yeah,
exploring and adventuring.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Now, complaint aside, the tank is voiced by the guy who does Garrus, so that
Oh, perfect.
I kind of always want him there anyway, but still.
Right.
um, let's see what else. The it's it's real interesting to me kind of how they gate the leveling on it because you can level up, but it's not necessarily going to make you kind of dominate enemies. Like
Mm.
what really makes you dominate enemies is upgrading your gear. Um, and they have kind of a couple tiers of equipment that the resources of each region are focused to. So like your top resource in the Emerald Stair, the second area you go to, may be a common resource in the next area, for instance.
Oh, gotcha.
Um, so it's kind of neat like that. You know, there's no real reason to go backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's I really like this game an awful lot. I don't think it's a game that's going to have a lot of replayability.
Mm.
Like they have some story decisions that I definitely like to see, but like by the time I finish this game, I'm going to be probably like just like almost burnt out on it, you know?
Yeah, you'll definitely be
Um,
done with it and be like, okay, I maybe
yeah,
in like 5 years I could come back to it and I'll play a
yeah,
ranger this time. But you're not going to be like, oh, new game plus, let's do it, let's roll again.
yeah.
Right.
Like you're like the skill tree doesn't like necessarily like you can reset your skill tree at any time and respec for a
Mm.
very small cost, but like the the materials, so like your weapons, well, all of them, they have different tiers, right? You can level them 3 times, and then you need a special age, like the material's called Adra, but you
Mm-hmm.
need an Adra related material to bring it to the next level. And it goes like, you
Okay.
know, like common, I don't remember the other one, and then exceptional, and then legendary, or you know, there's like 5 of them.
Mm.
Um, that will absolutely lock you into it, and you're gonna have to start breaking down like a lot of the unique weapons that you would uh, want to use if you were suddenly like mid game, like I'm tired of being fighter. I want to be a mage and use a wand. You know, you've
Mm-hmm.
probably already gotten rid of all your decent wands at
Sure,
that
because you
point.
need all those upgrade mats.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and like you know, it does have like the benefit of if you deconstruct like your main weapon, you're gonna get all the upgrade materials you put into it back, but you probably already trashed your unique wand that you found that you'd want
Mm.
to use.
Right.
Uh, so it's a little locking like that, and the game is definitely here's a region, here's your laundry list, go and get to it,
Yeah, like
and
go explore.
yeah, and it's you know you get like a dozen things or so to do each area, and because of the nature of that, it's just not. It's going to kill the really replayability, I
Yeah.
suspect.
Right.
But other than that, like the writing is great. Almost all the side missions are great. A lot of them you'll just kind of stumble onto while you're wandering around. Um, they have the only side missions I'm not super fond of and that I use the internet for are each region has a god totem and a bunch of related items. Um, and you can find like usually they have a vendor that's selling a list of hints on where to find the god totem stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not particularly helpful in my opinion in most cases. And you'll find probably a few of them on your own, and then you gotta go to the internet for it.
Right.
And the other one is the treasure maps. The treasure maps are not great. I don't like them.
Mm.
Even with the internet's help, I have issues with them
Like
at
a little
times.
too obscure for you to be like, I don't even
Yeah,
know. There's great treasure maps. You're like, oh man, I totally remembered that like cove with the Hook Island in it. Oh, where was
yeah,
that? Like, oh, I don't even remember. And the bad ones, you look at it and you're like, I don't. I know that's just you're just showing me a mountain. There's 400
yeah,
mountains in this game. What am I supposed to do with that?
yeah. It's you know, and some of them are like you can find the area, but then you're like, wait, well, there's an X here. I'm here. Where is it? What?
Right.
And then you look on the internet and be like, oh, there's a tiny button here.
Right.
Where's the? Oh, here. Okay, okay.
Hmm.
I never would have found that on my own, you know.
Right.
But luckily, there's just like 3 treasure maps per area, so it's pretty quick to get
That's
through.
not bad.
Um, I like in terms of the main story, I have like I kind of I don't know. What can I say? Um, you there is a well, okay. I think I can say this obscurely enough. There is an entity that becomes prominent in the main story, and it is, and I don't know. Maybe some people will play this game and be like, "How in the world do you not see that this entity is pure evil or something like that?" And
Oh, sure.
I don't see it. Like it is completely lost on me on whether I am making the right decisions
Right.
because you were given very little, in my opinion, to go off on whether to trust this entity or not.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm definitely curious to see where it winds up. And the what I'm guessing is the final area of the game that'll be the fifth area if it even goes that far. Looks freaking awesome. Like you can kind of see it in the distance, and
Oh, nice.
um, it just looks super cool. So I'm excited to get there. I'm hoping this last area doesn't take too long to get through. It's not as visually appealing as the other areas. It's kind of
Mm.
just a bunch of rocks and lava and things. But
Oh, sure.
um, all the other areas I think have looked awesome, and they use like really cool, like iconic set pieces kind of everywhere, and um, the combat in this thing is great. Um, I'd heard one reviewer describe it as Destiny meets Skyrim, which
Hmm.
I don't. I probably it's been too long since I've played Destiny, so I kind of don't agree with that necessarily, but it is way more of an action game than
Right.
Skyrim is, and there's less. I've talked about it before. There's less random BS to do.
Right.
But I love this game. If they make a sequel, I can't imagine they wouldn't. I think it did pretty well for them.
I think it has been, yeah.
Yeah, I will definitely play that. It makes me want to go back. Like I played most of the first Pillars of Eternity game. Um, Pillars of Eternity 2, I'm pretty sure I own, but I never really played through. I think it just
Right.
came at a time when too many RPGs were hitting. And
Right.
good grief, do they reference Pillars of Eternity 2 a lot in this. Like, and I don't, Pillars of Eternity 2 is called Deadfire.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
everyone
right.
is constantly referencing this cataclysmic event where a god landed and killed a bunch of people called Deadfire. So
Huh.
I'm assuming that is what happens in that game.
Right. I don't think I played either one of those now that I think of it.
I really liked the first one. It's very, it's somewhere between like a Baldur's Gate and Divinity.
Oh, okay.
Um, it's kind of where I'd put it.
Hmm.
Kind of a little bit of a both, but nowhere near as hard as Divinity,
Right.
Original Sin, or anything like that. But that said, I like the first person action thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's perfect for my schedule. It's perfect for what I do. Like most of the missions take like 20 minutes or less to achieve.
Oh, that's not bad.
The sometimes I open the map. I'm like, oh man, that's a long way away, and then it only takes like 5 minutes to walk there at most.
Oh,
And
nice.
I'm probably finding a bunch of stuff on the way. It's not, it looks larger than it is, and they do a
Right.
really good job at using the terrain and things to kind of trick you and make you think you've gone much farther than you actually have.
Mm.
But I don't, man, I don't know what else I can say about this game, but I guess we'll find that out next month.
Right. It sounds cool. Like it just sounds like just a fun the first person RPG to play. Like,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
honestly, it's in a way, it's like it's it's almost good in a generic way, but in another way, like what other game is like this? Like
Yeah,
I don't know that there's much out there.
it's like
So
familiar and fresh at the same time.
yeah. Oh, hey, actually, there's one more thing I can say
Mm.
because I was watching the video and they're showing an Ager waste stone. Um, so you'll find these like probably 3 or 4 Ager waste stones per map, and that's where you set up a party camp.
Mm.
As long as you're on the overworld map, which you rarely change screens in this game. Like there's probably one or two dungeons per maps where you'll do it, and there's usually like a city where you'll do it. But
Mm.
uh, on the main map, you can teleport at any point to an Age or Waystone and camp and upgrade your weapons. And then when you leave the Waystone, you have two options. You can exit at the location you're at, or you can exit at the location you came from.
Oh,
Um,
interesting. Okay.
so it's very convenient. Like everything, like there are very few inconvenient things in this game.
That's
And
nice.
I'm really only state that because I'm sure there's something inconvenient and I can't remember what.
So it's definitely not like too inconvenient.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like they want you to they just make it there's so many quality of life features in this game. Like it's very it's just really, really well made. It's probably like
Yeah.
the most polished thing Obsidian has ever put out, possibly, except for um what was it, the space game. Outer Wild, Outer Worlds, not
Yes,
Wilds.
worlds. Yeah.
Um, like that's probably the closest comparison, but I think it's probably
Okay.
even more convenient in features than that. But
Right.
anywho, surprise, Obsidian made a good game.
That's right. Shock of all shocks.
So Boston, what have you been playing?
Two quick check-ins here. First one, Destiny 2, Act 2, sorry, Episode 3, Act 2 is finished. Episode 3, Act 3 has started. Things are still really good. There's a new activity in Act 2 called Court of Blades. It's basically a wave-based kind of boss rush, really. You go into an arena, you have two bosses to beat kind of back to back. You beat those, you kind of come out, get a couple of randomly generated upgrades, go back in, beat two more bosses, kind of rinse and repeat till you run out of time or you beat 13 bosses. It's a cool mode. It moves fast, which I think not all kind of the episodic or seasonal activities do. And I think once you get something like this, that I think the maximum time you can spend in there is about 10 minutes. And if you finish the 13 bosses faster than that, it just, you get kind of the most generous rewards, and it kind of boots you out and says, hey, you did a great job. So I like that. It's kind of the polar opposite of the Nether, which was Act One's activity, which is this kind of multi-zone, multi-boss exploration thing where you're spending a bunch of time in there with a party, kind of getting as many secrets as you can, beating a bunch of bosses, doing a bunch of kind of riddles and activities around. So it's kind of interesting to have the two sides of, you're looking for something a little bit longer, you probably do the Nether and you get rewards, some one set of rewards over there. You're looking to get some stuff done pretty quickly and kind of have a more action focused thing, you're going to be doing Court of Blades. Um, the story continues to be really, really great. Um, I don't want to spoil it too much, but you run into, in Destiny fashion, you run into an old foe that you vanquished in an earlier time, um, and usually when you run into someone like this, they're like, "Man, can't believe you killed me. That sucks. Like you, the weakling. Like that's a real bummer." Um, but this bad guy, you tell them that, and he goes, "What the hell? That's awesome. You killed me? That's incredible. You should take over. Like you should be the bad guy. You're better than I am, clearly." And I was like, "Sorry, what? What are you saying?" Everyone else is like, "Bro, no." And he's like, "No, no, no. If they killed me, that means they're the best. Like how can you deny? This is great. Listen to them. They're the new boss." And I was like, "Oh, okay, sure. That's a fun little twist on it." Um, so that's been pretty fun from like a different storyline perspective, especially after the last two episodes have been like, oh, the bad guy got the MacGuffin. Oh, they escaped with the MacGuffin at the end. Oh no, what will we do except chase them down in the next big expansion coming in June 2025? So to have that a little bit different, I think has been pretty refreshing. um, and having you going back to the Dreadnought, which is one of the big kind of it was the Taken King destination from Destiny 1. And to see that all kind of, the they're kind of, the entire ship is decomposing. So to see it familiar, but kind of breaking apart and kind of like the flesh falling off of it, it's not as gross as it sounds, but to see it kind of falling apart and decaying is really, really interesting. So it's a cool take on a beloved old area. So Destiny doing great. We'll see if it can stick the landing. I'd be surprised if they didn't on this one, but I think over the next 2 or 3 weeks, I think this episode will be over, and we'll be doing the countdown to whenever the expansion happens. Codename Apollo, I think it is, and we'll see when they show that off. They haven't yet, but hopefully soon. Real quick, next one here. We talked about it last month. Last month, I think it was, maybe 2 months ago. Assassin's Creed Shadows. Talked about, like, is this one gonna be an RPG? These games have kind of flirted with being RPGs in the past. Of you have a skill tree and you have loot tiers and you have experience, and it's hard to fight a level 5 enemy when you're level 2, and etc. This largely seems like it's kind of following the same formula at the beginning. I've only played maybe 3 hours. I haven't had a ton of time to dive into it. I'm really enjoying it. This has a much slower intro to this one than a lot of the Assassin's Creed games have been. It's a lot of, you get Yasuke's storyline, the samurai guy. You get a cool intro with him. Then it switches to Naue, who's the kind of shinobi lady. You get a really cool intro to him, and then you're spending a bunch of time getting sort of tutorial stuff from Naue, and you're not. I thought you were going to switch between the two of them pretty early on in the game. You're really not. Like, I'm spending a bunch of time. They've kind of dumped me in the open world with Naue, and it's like, we'll run into Yasuke later. Like, don't worry about him. We're getting you introduced to this story first, which has been pretty interesting. And to see them kind of easing you into an Assassin's Creed game in a way that I don't think maybe Odyssey, maybe Origins did, but I think Odyssey and especially Valhalla kind of were just like, you've been playing these things for like 15 years. Don't worry about it. Just get in here. Don't even worry about it. So to see them do that has been kind of interesting. I don't want to talk too much about it because I don't know how RPG-ish it is, but I do really like two settings that they had in this game. One is called immersive mode. They have a bunch of different languages to pick from when you start the game. Immersive mode locks the game into Japanese and Portuguese from the beginning, and you can't change the language. I thought that was interesting, so I chose that option. I'm sure the English version, the English/Portuguese version of this, because it's always going to be some language and Portuguese because of the time this game takes place in. I am sure the English version is really good, but I felt like of any of these games, it's probably like, I should probably play this one in Japanese. And so far that's been really cool. The other one is called canon mode. And this one's really interesting. I kind of have a hard time explaining this because I never know the language I never remember the language the game uses. But it's essentially, at any point the game would give you an option to choose storyline wise, it will choose for you. And it will choose the kind of path that they have determined. I hesitate a little bit here because I don't want to say like the story they've written or the canon story or the way the story's meant to be, because if that was the case, they would just not give you options. But they have this mode, and I thought it was interesting because I played the intro twice. I played through kind of making my own decisions. You start the game, Yasuke is talking to Nobunaga and makes a choice. I started the game back over using canon mode, and a totally different choice was chosen. I was like, okay, I'll just ride with canon mode, and we'll kind of see um, the story that they sort of chose for me. I think that's a really interesting thing in Assassin's Creed games, because a lot of the ones in the past have been, do you choose the male avatar or the female avatar? And if you do, you're going to fight against your brother or your sister, depending on what you chose. And like a lot of the storyline isn't up to you, you're just kind of going through it. So interested to see where they're going to go with this one, but really not too deep into this. Like I always do with any open world game, they set me loose. They took off the training wheels and put me in the open world. I'm like, great, I'm going to climb all these towers and get all the viewpoints. Let's go. And I did like one or two of those, and I was like, okay, I can't scour the map to do all of those. I should keep the story going. It's the Inquisition thing of like, I'm going to leave the hinterlands. I can always come back. I need to keep things moving so I don't spend like 200 hours in this game. But I'm having a blast so far. I am very curious. Naue herself has 5 or 6 skill trees just off the jump. So I'm and all of her gear is like green quality gear and has a bunch of stats on it. So we'll see how far that goes. That didn't mean a whole lot in previous Assassin's Creed games, other than you get a ton of health and you get a ton of strength when you have orange gear, and you have the set bonuses, so you get like free skills or you get buffed skills or things like that. I don't know if there's any of that at this point, but we'll see as I go through on that. If you don't hear me talking about it on the show again, that's your answer of it's not really an RPG. Last game I have here, Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. I have finished and platinumed this game. I think it took me 25 to 30 hours to do, and that was doing basically 100% of the game. I think this game is okay. I think when I look back at Like a Dragon Gaiden, the Man Who Erased His Name, which is the one that happened in between Yakuza Like a Dragon and Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, those two kind of mainline games, I liked that one quite a bit. It was the side story of Kiryu is a secret agent. Let's go do secret agent things. And it's like, okay, that's real silly. Let's do it. Okay. And that had easily one of the most heartbreaking endings to any of these games. I was full on sobbing like a baby at the end of that game. And this game is clearly the kind of connective tissue between Infinite Wealth and then whatever's going to happen next. To the best of my knowledge, they haven't announced that. The only thing they've announced has been Project Century. Basically, it looks like a Yakuza game in kind of feudal Japan. I don't hate Majima. I think he's a really great character. I think a lot of what I struggle with in this game is kind of putting a character that I've liked as a side character in previous games, of just like popping out something and go Kiryu-chan, like just being the foil for Kiryu. I think for me that works really well. Having him as a main character here, you know, showing this kid around Hawaii and going on a big pirate adventure, I think is an okay idea. I'm just not entirely sure I was like all the way in it the entire time. It's a good game, and I think if you like the Yakuza games, you should probably play if you like these games. You have probably already played and finished this. I kind of took my time going through this, um, but if you kind of like these games a little bit, I think you might be okay skipping this one and just playing the mainline ones, and I think you'll still probably be okay. Um, and that's not necessarily my recommendation for everybody, but if you're like, I kind of like these games, you're probably okay not forcing your way through this one. Of course, because it's a Yakuza game, I cried at the ending. I'm just apparently gonna do that for all of these, so I should just prepare my. I thought, nah, this one won't be the one, and then an hour later, I was like, why? um, but it's good. I liked it. I really do. I do have to give credit to the AEW wrestler Samoa Joe, who was one of the villains in this game. I think he did a really good job. Um, I was kind of bummed I played this in Japanese because apparently he voices himself in the English version, which I would have liked to hear. And I think he's a dude that works for, because I think in that role you just needed a really big, very intimidating dude. That's a real big dude. So I think that works. I think that works really well in this game's case. So I think they've been making some smart choices in these games of like their kind of celebrity cameos. I think that worked really well in Infinite Wealth. I think it worked really well here, which is not always the case for games. Usually it's sort of like, oh, this dude's in here, huh? Okay, that's I don't I'm not sure how I feel about that, but that seemed pretty good here. So, um, not a ton else to say. It's just it's a solid game. I'm still really looking forward to them announcing whatever is coming next, and seeing kind of how they continue the story. Hopefully, for real this time, kind of leaving Kiryu behind, letting him take a break for a little bit, because I think him being so much of the star of Infinite Wealth again was kind of a bit of a choice that I think wasn't necessarily bad, but I think hurt that game a little bit. So, especially with the Ichiban being everybody's favorite Dragon Quest loving golden retriever, like you have managed to make a character that people like just as much, if not more, as the dude that was a part of like 10 other games. Like, you really need to let him excuse me, kind of take the spotlight here for a little bit. So hopefully they do. But I thought Pirate Yakuza was great, and that's all I'm playing. Let's move on to our releases here and news stories. First up, we have launching on April 15th, Lost Records Bloom and Rage Tape 2. Comes out PS5, Series consoles, and PC. If you, like us, played the first tape, first half of Lost Records Bloom and Rage, it'll be a free update in the game coming on April 15th, hopefully. Crossing my fingers. If you played this, you really should go listen to our Game Club episode for this that we did earlier this year over on tvgp.tv. We had a pretty spirited conversation about a challenging game to talk about. And hopefully if you played that, you enjoyed that episode. And hopefully this will come out on time so we can talk about that here in the short term. But we'll see. Fingers crossed. Lunar, is it Lunar or Lunar? I feel like I never really know. I've heard it both ways.
Didn't know there was a question. I always say Lunar, but
yeah,
I
I did
from
too.
Oklahoma, so
I feel like any 90s JRPG is sort of like, of course it's not pronounced that way. And it's like, oh, well, I was reading Game Fan. I'm not sure how to pronounce any of this stuff. The Lunar Remastered Collection comes out on April 18th, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Collects the first two games, Lunar Silver Star Story Complete and Lunar 2 Eternal Blue Complete. This looks really cool. They've done some work to remaster the kind of famous cutscenes here. They look really clean. They cleaned up the game a little bit. They have some kind of quality of life improvements here. It looks like they didn't really mess with the games too much. They just kind of preserved them, made them a little bit easier to play, and kind of are packaging them up. I have never played either one of these games, largely because, kind of famously, maybe infamously, Working Designs put these out on the PS1 in the US and had, like they did, very elaborate special editions that were immediately way too expensive. Um, so, just like Suikoden 1 and 2 could not afford them whatsoever. So,
Yeah. I played the most of the second one,
okay.
and I saved in a place like I only kept one save file back then, so I was
Mm,
basically at the end of the game, and I got to the last boss. My save point was right before, or at least I assume it was the last boss.
mm,
And I couldn't beat the last boss, and I needed somewhere to grind, and I couldn't get anywhere to grind, and
right.
I couldn't do anything. So,
That's a classic.
um, yeah, hopefully that's not a thing. But like I'm getting nostalgia looking at these. I know I've started the first one before, but I don't know that
Mm,
I ever got very far on that one. But
yeah.
um, I still have the originals. These, man, I'm really impressed with how well they cleaned up these cutscenes.
Yeah, they look
Uh,
really good.
but
Yeah.
from what I remember, is these are pretty basic, straightforward RPGs.
Okay.
And most of your charm is going to be the anime cutscenes and the characters being goofy and things
Right.
like that. I did not think I wanted to play this, and now watching these previews, I kind of want to play it.
Yeah.
But despite how good the cutscenes look, if the first one's as grindy as the second one, then
Yeah.
I think I got to play this on a handheld if I
Yeah,
do.
and I should have looked for the whatever the quality of life improvements are because I really like what a lot of JRPG kind of publishers and developers have been doing to classic RPGs now, which is like, look, go into the menu, triple the XP, triple your money, put on God mode, like just enjoy this game and sail through it if you really want to. This game is 20 years old. It's probably going to be pretty grindy. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
so
It's well, anyway, if it comes out on Steam and it's affordable, then I might get it sooner than later. But I
yeah,
don't know. We'll see.
yeah. Next and last game here, the game I've been really looking forward to for a while. Claire Obscure Expedition 33 comes out April 24th. PS5, Series consoles, and PC. Game Pass day and date. Um, this is the Kepler Interactive is publishing this, who's a studio that or a publisher that I'm keeping a very close eye on. They did Pacific Drive. They published that game,
Hmm.
and they've been publishing a lot of stuff where I'm sort of like, okay, you seem to have your finger on the pulse of games that are for me. Um, and this is a kind of I I'm gonna say like a 360 era styled small partied JRPG with timing based stuff made by a French studio. And it looks incredibly cool. I think the timing based stuff that I have been seeing in the part of the reason I'm excited is apologies for a airplane outside if you can hear it um, is it reminds me a lot of that 360 RPG with that had the timing ring with the really sad stories. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm
Um,
Lost
I feel
Odyssey.
like yes.
Yeah, it reminds me
Say
a
we
lot
did
of
this recently.
yeah. Like I just every time I think about it, I'm like, oh man, I really love that game. Um, and I'm gonna do a Google search PS2 RPG Francis Bacon, and let's see Shadow Hearts.
Oh yeah.
I knew that would tell me. The thing I remember the most out of those games is, oh yeah, Francis Bacon is like an undead dude who's part of your part. This is really weird. Um, it reminds me of those sort of like moment to moment kind of timing based things that I think not only does the game look really cool, but I like the idea of having a kind of exciting battle system like that. Um,
So I've not seen this trailer before, but watching it, oddly enough, the thing I'm most excited for is the damage numbers look really good.
they do look really cool.
I
Yeah,
don't I don't think of myself as usually a damage number guy, but that is like I could go min max in this game, I think.
yeah, like there's something to be said for like a cool UI, and this game looks really cool.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, that's Clear Obscure Expedition 33. I really hope this turns out well. I think this looks like a cool kind of love letter to a bunch of really I think cool RPGs that maybe necessarily didn't get a lot of time in the sun. As much as Lost Odyssey and the Shadow Hearts games are beloved, um, I think they weren't necessarily the biggest games. So this is cool. I'm hoping to pick this up. I don't know how much this costs. I want to say that the studio has said that they're looking to make this a budget title. So
Hmm.
I'm hoping that comes in at the like $40 range, but we'll see because that stuff
It
is so
looks
in
pretty
flux.
high end, man.
Yeah, I think that was when I saw these trailers originally. I was like, "That's a $70 game." They're like, "No, no, no. It's a budget game. It's also supposed to be not this huge, long 160 hour sort of thing. They're trying to keep it to the shorter end of the scale." And I was like, "All right, that
I
sounds
like
great."
everything you're slinging. Yeah.
Yeah, like you're. Please stop. You've already hit oil. But yeah, that's cool. Hopefully, we'll be talking about that this on the show here at some point because I want to at least give this a shot. All right, we do have a little bit of news, JRPG focused news here from the Switch 2 announcement stream that happened here earlier this week. We're not really going to talk about like hardware numbers and all of that stuff and release date and pricing and all that stuff. Not really interested in talking about a lot of that. But there's a couple of JRPG announcements here. I really wish this had better timestamps here so I could bring up specifically what we're talking about here. I'll see if I can scrub while we're chatting here. Um, they did announce a Elden Ring. What are they calling it? The Tarnished Edition. Will be getting a Switch 2 release sometime in 2025. So if you wanted to play Elden Ring on the go on the Switch 2, and maybe you don't have a Steam Deck, you'll be able to check that out. They also did announce Daemon Ex Machina Titanic Scion, which is
Yeah.
going to be the next Daemon Ex Machina game here. That's coming out September 5th, 2025. That looks cool as hell. that looks that looks real cool. So a bunch of big mechs, punching each other's mechs. That looks pretty neat. I think the original was fairly RPG ish. Um, I'm not sure how much, but did you play that one?
I did. I don't remember it very well. I
Okay.
remember liking the art style,
Yeah,
and that was I don't know if it's got a mech in it. I'm gonna try and convince you to letting me talk about it on this
that's right.
podcast. So,
Yep, for sure.
um,
Big mech fans here. Yes.
I I said it's been a while since I've grabbed a mech game, but
Mm,
yeah, that first game. I mean, it's more action game than anything, but you upkeep your mech.
right.
Replace parts on it and things like that. I say replace parts like you don't take damage. I don't think you just you know I want these style of legs and this style of arm and
Right.
things like
And
that,
what
and
weapon
it's
goes on my left shoulder?
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
But I'm really enjoying it. I don't remember why I stopped playing it, uh,
Hmm.
but I would play another one of those. And this one graphically looks way better than the last one. Like I'm shocked at how well it
Yeah.
looks.
Yeah. It looks really, really good. Um, Next game up here is Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster. I was not expecting a Bravely Default 1 HD remaster pretty much ever, even though I'm literally the only person who finished and liked that game. Um, but this game is super cool. Um, I understand why people stop playing it about 75% of the way through when it gets a little rough. Um, People are probably going to ask, are they going to fix that for this one? Probably not, because that part's pretty important. Um, but this seems really neat. They updated the menus, enhanced the online features. You can do mouse-controlled mini games because the Switch 2 you can use the Joy-Cons as a mouse. This will be a launch game. They've already said that includes the original English dub, which is really great because I don't want anyone else to say Murger other than the original voice actress. So it's super cool. If you didn't play these games and you like JRPGs and you're willing to put up with like a little bit of static in this game to get a cool payoff, I think you should. I think you should check that game out. Next up, Yakuza 0 Director's Cut. They are putting Yakuza 0 out on Switch 2. Yakuza Kiwami 1 came out on Switch 1 not too long ago. This looks pretty cool. Yakuza 0 is really great. I think this is the kind of the best entry point to the game, or to the franchise, unless you want to pick up the Yakuza Like a Dragon. That's also a really great entry. They are going to add 26 minutes of new cutscenes. There's going to be an English dub this time, which is still okay. Sure. I mean, I think there's still some hesitation there from a lot of people, myself included. But I'll keep an open mind. And then this is going to be a launch game as well. So if you're picking up a Switch 2 and you haven't played Yakuza 0, probably a pretty great time to check that out. Next game here, where are we gonna find this in the list here? Oh, there it is. Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition is coming out. It is a launch game. They've already said it's going to be on a 64 gig cartridge. And I believe it's one of the games that is going to be on cartridge and not download only. So you can check that out if you somehow haven't picked up and played Cyberpunk and don't own it already for dirt cheap. Play that on your Switch too, I guess. And then last but certainly not least here, I don't know if I can find this in this list here. Let's let this Kirby game play out. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is also going to be coming to Switch 2. If no one remembers, Remake Intergrade is Remake plus the intermission DLC. So it's kind of the full package there. If you also haven't played that game either, Remake is really good. And I never finished the intermission stuff. I got about halfway through it. It's like a 2-hour DLC, and I didn't finish it.
Same.
That was pretty cool too. So you want to, get started. Again, I will make the recommendation of you should probably play the original Final Fantasy VII before you pick up either one of these two, for spoiler reasons. And like we were just talking about, for the lunar stuff, you can motor right through that game of just like, here's God mode. I'm one-shotting enemies. It's triple skill points, triple money. Like we're cruising through this thing. So you can do that too. But that's all the Switch 2 stuff. Nothing here super surprising, I think, except for me being surprised of Bravely Default Flying Fairy coming back for another round here. But all right, that's all of the news stories and all the releases we have, which means we have reached the end of our episode. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at pickingwithpixels.com or tvgp.tv. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right-hand side of the page. Reminder that we are releasing here on the TVGP feed If you're listening to the pup feed, we're still releasing over there, but the TVGP feed is where this show and all of the other shows show up, for lack of a better word. Musum, where can we find you online?
So you can find me at my link tree at linktr.ee/John Musim, JohnMusim. And I also want to mention I have a new Musim track out called Wish.
Yes.
So go check that out, and I might have the remix EP out for it before we do our next podcast.
There you go. All right.
But I might not. I don't know. I don't know. I have almost all the remixes back in, and I have the art. So I need the last couple remixes, and then I gotta send it in the mastering, and then it'll take about a 2 week wind up to get it on streaming. But I'll probably have it on Bandcamp when I have the masters. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say usually the easiest way to kind of follow and get notified for any of your favorite artists is to follow them on Bandcamp when you can, and purchase their music from Bandcamp, because that's usually the best way to get the most money into the artist's hands is to do
Yeah.
Bandcamp.
Which, you know what? We'll just do it as an aside,
Hmm.
just to emphasize that Spotify does not pay you money on a song until it hits 1,000 streams in a month, and that is per month,
Oh wow.
and that is
Okay.
per song. So if I have one song over 1,000, then that means I might get a penny for it that month.
Right.
Um, but it doesn't mean I'm going to get it the next month, and it doesn't mean I'm going to get paid for anything else. I have not made any money from Spotify in several years, like basically since they started that policy.
Hmm.
So like you get almost nothing from streaming.
Right.
Like Tidal, YouTube Music, and Amazon, I tend to see the most returns from. And oddly enough, Shazam, I don't know who's Shazamming my music or where it's playing that they can Shazam it. Like I'm
That's
very
pretty
confused
great.
about that. Um, but anyway, that's just an overview. Whereas, Bandcamp, you're gonna outright just buy the album digitally, and they have a
Right.
good app for your phone too,
They do,
for
yeah.
convenience.
And two, they've been starting up Bandcamp Friday again too, where during Bandcamp Friday, artists get 100% of the
Yep.
purchase price, if not like really close to 100%, depending on who the artist is. So, uh, you
Yeah, unless they changed it, they waive all their fees. Which,
yeah.
now that you've said that, I that will be when I release on Bandcamp, is a
Ah,
Bandcamp Friday.
see, synergy. There you go. So go sign
Yeah.
up, go follow me some over there, and be the first to purchase it when it comes out. Um, you can find me campsite.bio/Jansten, Jansten. That has all the links to all the podcasts, Destiny Emblem Collector, all the different places to find and follow over there. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. We greatly appreciate it. We'll see you all next month. Bye.
Bye.